Welcome to the Bang the Drum podcast interview edition. The first one. We're here. I'm without Stevie Z, so it looks much better, sounds much better, certainly smells much better. I'm with Kade Carlyle today. Excited to have Kade on. Kade, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Scott. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's a good time to see you under this condition without you yelling at me, screaming at me. I'm joking. Just talk about, give us an intro about yourself, what brought you into, you're a personal trainer, Black Sheep in Cincinnati. Some of you are probably familiar with it if you're a Bengals fan or even UC or high school. There's a lot of good athletes coming through there. Talk about what brought you into training and your background and what you've done in the past and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Scott, I'm a trainer, performance coach at Black Sheep Performance in Blue Ash, just a neighborhood outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. So, like you said, we're well known for training a lot of the Bengals, right? A lot of the big time names when it comes to the Bengals, the Joe Burrows, Trey Hendricksons, recently retired Sam Hubbards. But my background is not the traditional background that you would think when it comes to a performance coach or a strength and conditioning coach. So, I'll start with my early background, as a child, like why I wanted to become a personal trainer. So my parents were both professional dancers, so I was kind of born into a family that was used to moving their body and making a living by moving their bodies. So they weren't, my dad wasn't a football player or baseball player, so it wasn't a traditional sports background. But as a kid, man, I did everything. I played baseball, basketball, football. I did gymnastics, competed in gymnastics. My parents owned and operated a dance studio, so I would do some dances for them as a kid. So I was exposed to so much as a kid, and I think that's something that we're lacking in today's day and age, early specialization. I think that is something that I really benefited from, was just being exposed to all these different types of ways to move your body, right? And that helps me out even to this day. So growing up, like I said, played everything. Once I got into high school, baseball is really what I stuck with. Played baseball all throughout high school. I called baseball my first love, man. And when the day I had to stop playing baseball, it broke my heart, and I don't know if I've ever really recovered from that. So I love baseball, man. I didn't go play in college. I definitely could have. I had opportunities to go play at Division II level. Towards the end of my high school, I was banged up bad, man. Both my knees were banged up. I had some back issues, some ankle issues. Wasn't feeling good physically, and therefore I was kind of out of it mentally too. I was just feeling like, man, I don't want to go dedicate myself to baseball for the next 4 years. I just want to go to school. And so I stopped after high school. I went to Ohio University out of high school, but I only lasted a semester at OU. I was there for a semester, paid 10 grand out of pocket. I'm like, what the hell am I doing, man? Nobody in my family has the money to pay for this. I don't know what I'm doing here, so I dropped out. Long story short, I worked several jobs from about the age of 19 through 22-ish, and then I got into sales. Moved out to Utah, lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, one of the most beautiful places on earth. I love Salt Lake City. I was out there for 4 years. I got into door-to-door sales with a company called Vivint. I was selling smart home security systems, door-to-door. And I did that for about 3 years, man. I knew early on it wasn't something I wanted to do long, but I am super, super grateful for that experience. I met some lifetime best friends, some unbelievable just learning lessons out there knocking doors, man. You want to talk about being quick on your feet, being able to be personable, being able to handle rejection and just keep going time and time again. Those lessons are invaluable. You can't put a price on those lessons right there. But every time I'd be having a tough day, I'd be in a random neighborhood in the middle of Alabama or wherever it was, and I'd start to daydream about, man, what would I really want to be doing with my life? It was always making an impact on people and helping people through health, fitness, wellness, training, really. I fell in love with training in high school when I started lifting weights for sports for baseball. I started to see some muscles. I'm like, okay, I like this. You start to get, some girls talking about you a certain way, and that sort of thing, man. Like, I just took to it like a duck to water. I loved training almost more than I loved the sport at a certain point.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and so I was more along the lines of bodybuilding back then. I thought I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I just wanted to be jacked, tan, and handsome. That's all I wanted. And this kind of leads into why I ended up coming back into fitness, because I kind of fell out of fitness for a handful of years. But chasing that, just getting bigger, getting more and more muscle on my body, led me to not feeling very good. I looked good, but I didn't feel very good. And so getting back into training and starting to approach that as a career, that's one thing that I wanted to take on as a trainer, is like, okay, I know people they have body composition goals, they have aesthetic goals, but also, how do we do that and keep you feeling good, not just looking good? Because at the end of the day, if you look good but you don't feel good, a part of you is going to be unhappy or dissatisfied. So, like I said, I was doing sales. I knew I wanted to get into training, and so I reached out to my high school strength and conditioning coach my senior year of high school, who I really looked up to. He was a big mentor for me, kind of took a liking to me, and really helped me out my senior year. And he's doing it at a very high level with the U.S. women's national team. So he trains a lot of soccer players, specifically women's soccer. And so I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, man, this is what I want to do. I don't really have a plan of doing it. I don't want to go back to school for another 4 years to do it. I'm already 24 years old, or however old I was. What do you recommend me doing? And so he said, Kade, get certified under these 2 certifications. Get a job at any gym. That way you can put it on a resume that you're already doing it. And then start to send out resumes to gyms that are more specific to what you want to do. And that's exactly what I did. So I got certified through NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I got hired at an Esporta, which is like an LA Fitness, just any one of these big box gyms. And then I started sending out resumes to different gyms that in the area that I knew were more in line with what I wanted to do. Patrick Coyne, the owner of Black Sheep Performance, I had a history with him. He went to the same high school that I did.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we both went to Baden High School in Hamilton, Ohio. And he's 5 years older than me, so we never actually went to school together. But I knew him from that circle. And so I reached out to him. That was the one place when I moved back from Utah, that was the place where I'm like, I want to be there. I want to be a Black Sheep. Yeah. I know Patrick. I know what he's about. I know the culture that he's building. Like, that's where I want to be. And so, man, Scott, I probably reached out to him 7, 8, 9, 10 times just asking him to intern.
Right? There's the persistence.
Persistence. Coming from the doors, right? Knocking those doors.
Yep.
And I swear to you, I'm probably the 8th or 9th time I reached out to him. He's like, all right, come on in, sit down. I sat down with him and Dak Notstein, who's the head of our performance, director of performance. And they're like, all right, man, you can intern here. It's going to be unpaid. But if you want it, like, you have the opportunity to do it. And so I interned at Black Sheep for 2 months. They hired me on, and now I've been working there for coming up on 2 years now.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It's a great place. I go there. We'll talk about me in a little bit with you shortly. But what do you like? I thought about this a bunch of times. So I'll phrase it for you first, and then we'll talk about what you've done with me and what that and just kind of how you approach it and things. But as I'm there with you, like, think about it, you're pretty busy. Like, how do you take care of yourself physically? We talked about it a little bit the other day. Like, how do you get the workouts in? How do you meet, like, protein goals for me anyway are hard anyway, but you're on the go in there all day. How do you balance those two things?
To be honest with you, Scott, not very well at times.
I'd say
not very well at times, man. And there's kind of seasons. There's seasons to life. There's seasons to the training schedule as well too. Right now we're in the summer season, and man, it is go, 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 go. For me, it's usually starts at about 6 a.m., typically no later than 7 a.m., and I'm go, 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 go all the way till right now about 3, 4, sometimes 5 in the afternoon. and it's difficult to do. You know, you're in Black Sheep. There's no AC in Black Sheep. There's no air conditioning.
It's warm.
Okay, I don't know if your listeners are all from Ohio, but it's hot and it's humid as hell, man. So I'm standing up there sweating my butt off all day long. And there's a lot of days where I do not want to work out when I'm done.
I'd
you
say
know?
not.
But I always try to get something in, even if it's not a hard weightlifting session. I need to move my body and do it for me. You know, so I know that even if I'm tired, it's the end of a long day and I don't want to do it, I know I will always feel better at the end, even if it's just 30 minutes. 30 minutes of getting my heart rate up, moving my body. I'm always going to feel better, and I'm never going to regret the fact that I did it.
Yep.
Versus walking out of those doors not having done a workout or moved my body, I'm always going to regret it. I'm not going to feel good about myself. And if too many of those days stack up on top of each other, this starts to go.
Yep.
You start to get in a real dark place up here, and you start to forget why you did it in the first place. You became a trainer in the first place because you loved it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely true.
You know what I mean? So that's a long-winded way of just saying, like, it's not perfect. There's days where I fall short of that for sure. But keeping in mind why you got into it, because you loved training for yourself, and keeping in mind that you're always going to feel better at the end. After you've done it, those things certainly help me. Now, as far as getting protein in and the proper nutrition, man, you just do the best you can. You know, whey protein powders just to help you kind of meet those levels there. Always trying to get little snacks in here and there. Like, there's been times where you walk through the door, I'm like, Scott, give me like 2-3 minutes. I'm gonna eat this protein bar, or I'm gonna eat this orange or whatever it might be, and I'll be back out on the floor for you. So just trying to be mindful of, like, hey man, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Nope, absolutely not. It's funny, I use my idiot dog, affectionately call him Idiot Dog Milo. He's not an idiot. He's close to it, but he's not an idiot. But when he comes out and I exercise him all day, these rainy days are tough, right? So, because he's a water dog, he's a chocolate lab, as we've talked about on the show many times. So he'll go straight to water, and it's a mess, right? If you get him out here and run him, he's a different dog. And I say humans are no different. His attitude and everything else, if you exercise him, he's a good boy. When you don't, you never know what you're getting with him. He's antsy, all that kind of stuff. It kind of applies to we humans, I think. So when I've worked out in the past, and I should mention Black Sheep's in Cincinnati, as Kate said. It's
Scott, and sorry to interrupt you, man, but I think what you hit on there is huge. But one thing that helps me, and also I think helps just the general population, people who are listening to this podcast who don't want to work out all the time, is when you're going into the gym, like, leave some room for play. I spend all day long programming for my clients, and I want this perfect program, and I'm trying to hit A, B, C, D, E, F, I'm trying to just, like, hit it down the list. Leave some room for play within your exercise routine. And I think that takes some of the anxiety or some of the dread out of getting your workout in. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. Absolutely. The fun part of it, as we've talked about, again, Black Sheep's in Cincinnati. We have listeners, Kate. We're the world famous Bang the Drum podcast. We're not famous, but we are all over the world. It's kind of weird, some of the places that we can track some of that stuff where we're getting listened to, which is great, right? So, yeah, as you know, like, I went to, I heard about it through Joe Burrow, right, initially. I think I reached out to Dak, and he said, come on in. I was like, oh, man, didn't think he'd answer that quick, and now I had to think about, do I really want to do this, right? I jump into things, not always. I jump into things, especially when it comes to, like, sports, this podcast, fitness. I'll jump into stuff head on, right, and then think about it after the fact, which in life I'm not that way, but that I was like, oh man, I really want to do this. It's going to be tough. But I came in because of my hips, and we'll talk about some of my injuries, and because I'm sure a lot of people have similar things, right? As you get a little bit older, you get banged up. My background was lifting, like you said, but that's why my rotator cuff hurts, because back then it was all, and I still do that, the bodybuilding workout, but I don't do heavy now. Back then it was, you're benching. I think I benched like 365 at 195, right? Which at the time sounded cool. Now it's not cool. And I come in, my hips all. I played basketball for years on a torn ACL. This is what Kate has to work with. Years on a torn ACL. The doctor just hammered me. I mean, I was like, okay, I got the picture. Why would you do just ripping me, right? And then I get the ACL surgery, and then he's ripping me again because I came back too soon, only to play basketball at lunch at work. In hindsight, just dumb. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And the guys were out there, and we missed you. So I rushed back, and now I don't have an ACL on my right knee, which it's not the end, but there's arthritis, as you know, so it won't straighten. So now the right hip's a little jacked up. Little is probably an understatement. So I practiced jiu-jitsu, and I was struggling. So I go into Kade, Flowers, and then since then, I've still got, as we work through it, but much looser in my hips, especially if I'm not banged up, much looser. Talk about the importance of just sport-specific training, but more so than that is like the fluidity, mobility, and the isometric stuff that you put me through, which I hate, and all that stuff, and the benefit of that instead of just that power lifting all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's a big question. That's definitely a big question. I'm gonna try to divvy that up a little bit and kind of answer that in chunks here. But going back to what I talked about when I was just focusing on getting as jacked as I could, and not feeling very good. You've had a similar situation,
Many times.
And there's nothing wrong with bodybuilding workouts or bodybuilding splits or powerlifting or any of that stuff. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. But when you start to neglect the other ways that the body move, if you just stick in the sagittal plane or even just a frontal plane, or you don't move the body in other ways, your body's going to reflect that. It's going to get stiff, and you might look good, but you're probably not going to feel that good. So there's nothing inherently wrong with going for a heavy bench press or doing bicep curls or any of the, nothing wrong with it. But in my opinion, and I've seen it and I've experienced it, you have to move the body in other ways, or else it's going to stiffen up and you're not going to like the way you feel.
Yeah, I can relate. Big time.
Yeah. So that's some of the stuff that, when you initially came in, we were pretty much all mobility focused. Like that's what we were really just focusing on right there. And so there's several different methods that I use to help you out with that. But at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. It's just trying to get your joints to move in the ranges of motion that they're supposed to. So for the shoulders, it's internal rotation, external rotation, abduction, flexion, extension. Same thing with the hips. It's internal rotation, external rotation, abduction, adduction, flexion, extension. How do we get the body to start to open up and regain these levels of movement that we naturally have, but we lose over time, whether it's your desk job or you've just lifted heavy weights for the same way over and over again. So, that's really what we focused on with you at first, and then we get into some of the isometrics, especially for you, and we use it with our athletes and our general population, but especially with our athletes all the time. And isometrics, for those of you who don't know what that means, that's just a fancy word for get into a position and hold that position for a really long time, typically.
Not easy. It is not easy. He's making it sound easy. It is awful.
Yeah. And there's other ways to do that. I'm kind of generalizing with that. But ISOs, some of the benefits of ISOs, one, it's going to teach you the movement pattern that we're trying to work on, right? So with Scott this past Friday, we did a curtsy lunge isometric, and we did a lateral lunge isometric. So say Scott was brand new to weightlifting and he doesn't know how to do a squat or a lunge. I'm going to put him into that end range of that position, so the bottom of a lunge, and I want him to hold that for a long time, and it's going to train his body and his tissues to understand that position before we start working that position through a full range of motion right there. So that's one benefit of an isometric. Another benefit of isometric is it's gonna flood that area with blood. Because as you're holding, let's say a split lunge position, as you're holding that position, that area is under constant tension, right? So the body's naturally going to send a ton of blood to the area. So that has a few benefits. I mean, one, it's great for healing. Blood carries all the nutrients that we need to heal our muscles, our joints, our ligaments, bones, all that stuff. Our tendons, our ligaments, bones, all that stuff. And it can be really tough to do that otherwise. Muscles get a lot of blood flow to them, but when we're talking about, and for you, Scott, like we're trying to do this for you too, when we're talking about tendons and ligaments, they do not have nearly the blood supply that muscles do. And that's one reason why they take so much longer to heal than a muscle injury. So that's a great way to get nutrients to those tissues to help them heal and to help them feel really, really good. And then also, if you have, say you have patellar tendon pain, right? Jumper's knee pain. We see that a lot with our athletes, especially our youth athletes. High school kids who are just doing repeated, repeating the same movement over and over again. A lot of times that tendon's going to get pissed off when it's going through a big range of motion. So let's talk about the knee. Big flexion, big extension. It's going to get pissed off. So an ISO is a great way to not have that knee bend and extend, but also load that tendon so it can produce new collagen, so it can get blood flow to the area to help it heal and to help it strengthen and feel better over time. Yeah. And then another benefit of ISOs is just really hard. It's really hard.
It's hard.
You know, so with our high school kids,
when you're tired.
especially with your yeah, that's a great point, Scott, because with our high school kids, we finish every single session with an isometric. So they've already gone through their on-field work. They've gone through their strength work in the weight room. Now we're going to ISO them when they're mentally fatigued and they're physically fatigued. So we like to compare it to, you know, fourth quarter. You know, fourth quarter, your body's drained, everything in your body's telling you to quit, but this has to override your body and tell you to keep going. So that's another benefit of ISOs. It's just really tough.
It is tough. And there's a lot of energy in that building, you know. I've been in there, you know, with all the guys you mentioned earlier and some other guys too. I think it's okay to talk about these guys you mentioned, but the Kenny kid who's a high school basketball player, I saw him play when he was a freshman in high school, in person, and then online in Kentucky, right? He's from Newport originally. That kid, Taylor. Watching him, that guy's a beast, man. I'm telling you, he's good. He's up to a 5-star now. I don't know if you've checked it. I knew he was anyway. Saw him play against Travis Perry, who's the all-time leading scorer in the state of Kentucky. He more than held his own. He was only a freshman, right? So, but watching him do drills in there and stuff, golly, the energy, right, those guys bring. And then you have guys like me that bring even more energy, Kate. I bring more energy than they do. I'm just kidding. But it's pretty cool atmosphere in there. Definitely kidding. But it's a pretty cool atmosphere in seeing those guys and understanding, like, the one-legged jumps up on boxes and stuff like that. It's awesome to see that. And it's a lot harder to quit when you've got that type of people around you in terms of the atmosphere.
Dude, 100%. And I think one of the great things about Black Sheep and the culture that we have at Black Sheep and the trainers that we have at Black Sheep is that the same attention that we give to a kid like Taylor Kenny, who's going to be probably in the NBA one year, at some point in time. The same energy we give to him, the same energy we give to Trey Hendrickson, to Joe Burrow, to Sam Hubbard, is the same energy that we give to you, you know, the same energy that we give to a high school kid, a middle school kid, an 8-year-old kid. I work with a 73-year-old who, like, I'm as focused with her as I am with any of the athletes that we have in the gym, you know? Yeah. So I think that's one of the beautiful things that people really feel when they come into Black Sheep is they feel cared for, you know, because it'd be easy to have these big name athletes and give them the focus, the energy, the attention to detail that you would expect, and then maybe kind of slack off with the average Joe general population or the younger kids. But we don't do that at all. No. There's no difference between me training you, Scott, and me training an elite athlete. There's no difference.
Dak, Pat, and Javon, all the guys you mentioned, every time I come in, hey, Scott, how you doing? Hey, Scott, how you doing? You know, fist bumps. It means something because you're not treated like an outsider, right? I mean, I've been there for a while, but from the first day one, it was that way, right? So everybody's been incredibly nice to me going there. I like it. Wish I could get there more. It's like, for me, what's taught me, just for the people out there, like, I've lifted my whole life off and on at some point or another, right? So I have my own gym here. So I have all the equipment I need, and I still go. But it's different, those finer techniques, especially in the stuff that you and I work on, the isometrics and just the form. I mean, you can kind of correct it on your own, but when you have someone there teaching you, hey, which I hear from you all the time, I hear in my sleep sometimes, and I say bad things about you. Not occasionally. More than occasionally.
Good.
What is it? Deep breathe, relax your face, make sure you're telling me. I hear that, like, honestly, though, in a good way. I'm joking with you, but I hear it when I'm in the gym, right? When I'm doing certain things. So you get that repetition and that, you know, guidance as you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
Listeners. I'm trying to brainwash Scott. That's all I'm trying to do. So it's
it's
working.
working. It is
It's
definitely
working.
working. So I hear it, and I wish I could get there more often. But it's helped me dramatically in jiu-jitsu, just being able, which is important, like the hip movement, and just being able to move on the ground and flow. So much better than what it was. We're dealing with some hip stuff, an injury now from my. So I have the knee doesn't get straight, so it's a different challenge for you and certainly for me. But we've still made a lot of progress, I think, in the time I've been there. So it's been great.
A lot of progress, man. And one of my goals as a trainer, and all the trainers at Black Sheep, we all try to do this, is we want to give you tools that we want to teach you, right? We don't just want you to rely on us to get yourself better. We really want to teach you and give you tools to get better on your own. So it makes me really, really happy that you say that you hear my voice in your head, like, hey, breathe, relax your face, things like this. Like, that really makes me happy, because that's one of my big goals as a trainer, is to not give a man a fish, but teach a man to fish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Final questions for you, and you can add whatever you want. But I know you're a sports fan too. We haven't talked about it. Do you have any prediction for the Ohio State University or the Bengals this year? Two big seasons. Julian staying for the Buckeyes. Of course, Joe's healthy. Still a little drama down there, but things looking good. Camp opens today, is this weekend, rookie camp. Wednesday's the real camp for the Bengals. Ohio State opens in a week or two, then the big game against Texas. How do you see these two seasons?
The Bengals, I think you got to look at it pretty similar to how it was last year, right? As long as Joe Burrow's playing quarterback, as long as Jamar Chase is running down that sideline, they're going to put up points.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. That offense is going to be lethal.
He's a freak.
Joe and Jamar, they're as good as they get. They are as good as they get.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that defense going to look like, man? What's that defense going to look like?
New defense.
And we've had Trey in the gym over the past handful of weeks or so, and he's a great guy. He's as good as advertised, and you watch that guy train, and man, he's just an animal. So I hope they get the deal done, just for his sake and for the city's sake, because he means so much to this city and to this team. And we had Shamar in the gym. Shamar was coming into the gym.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, Shamar was coming into the gym for a couple months, and I think he's back in Texas now. I'm not exactly sure the status on his situation. That's a weird situation, man.
Yeah, we've talked about it a bunch.
Yeah, I really hope they get both those dudes signed, just because both those guys are good quality people. Shamar's a good dude as well, just from the little time that I got to spend with him. He's a freak. I could see why they drafted him, dude. You just look at the guy, and he's a physical specimen. So I hope they sign him.
Garrett almost, right? He's a clone
Dude,
of Myles Garrett almost.
He's as freaky as I've never seen Myles Garrett in person, but we have tons of high-level athletes come through the doors, and he's as freaky as I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope, for the sake of the city and for the sake of those guys, that they get a deal done for both of them, and they end up playing this year for the Bengals. But I don't want to give you a record prediction, because I don't know the schedule like that. But I know that as long as Joe Burrow's playing quarterback, they're going to put up a lot of points.
Absolutely.
It's just, can they stop the other team? I don't know.
I hope so. I think Golden will add a new dimension to that, the defensive coordinator. You like the Buckeyes, right? What do you think about Ohio State?
I do like the Buckeyes. I like the Buckeyes a whole lot, man. I'm a big Buckeye fan, which is, not the case in the gym with a lot of the guys. Patrick and Javon, they're Bearcats. They're UC Bearcats. So they kind of have that little brother mentality where they don't like the Buckeyes.
I'll bring this in.
Yeah. They look at the Buckeyes as like, privileged, So I'm a big fan of the Buckeyes. I kind of got their schedule pulled up right here.
Yeah, Texas.
Let's see. Yeah,
like
they got
Texas game, but tickets. Woo.
That's at home though, right?
Yeah, it's up here. It's a noon game though.
I know. I wish they didn't do that.
I like noon games from a watching standpoint. From a going to, it makes it a little tricky because you got to get up there so early, right? But I probably won't go anyway. But Arch Manning versus Julian Sand, woo, out of the gate, that's gonna be fun.
They say, I know they're going into to camp saying that there's a quarterback battle, but I think everybody assumes that Julian Sand's going to be the guy, right? And so Ohio State, they're as talented as anybody, but again, they always have so much turnover that it's like first game coming out of the chute with Texas. Who knows? To me, that is a coin flip of a game. That is an absolute toss up. Both teams are uber talented. Both teams are really, really well coached. I mean, Sark is a hell of a coach, man, and the defensive coordinator. I think the same DC is still there for Texas, and he did a great job last year at that. Was it Cotton Bowl, right, that they were playing?
Yeah, where Sawyer had the big return on Quinn
Right.
Ewers. That was a heck of a game.
I mean, he did an incredible job game plan against the Buckeyes. So that to me is a toss up. I think it's going to be a great game. My heart's with the Buckeyes. Who knows? But apart from that, I mean, I think they should win every other game.
Yeah.
Will they beat the team up north? I don't know, but they should on paper. They absolutely should. But
Absolutely.
they've had the yips when it comes to that game.
Strange because they didn't for 2 decades or whatever. But the good news is the game it still matters, but it doesn't eliminate you like it used to. Like you said, I'd rather play cream puff coming out of the gate with so many new guys on defense. Whole new defense, right? Pretty much. So I'd rather play some cream puff, but
whole new defensive coordinator, everything.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting, man. What do you think about Patricia in college?
I don't know. I liked him. He's one of those guys like McDaniels. I like both of them, but they're not very good at. They try to be. You can appreciate this what you do. You can't be someone else, right? And I think a lot of Belichick's coaches try to be him without earning what him is, right? You can't just go in and be him. You got to earn that, right? And they try to mimic him and be almost like clones of Belichick, and it doesn't work. I think that's where Parcells was better teaching everyone. He kind of let them do their own thing. He'd scream at them and everything else. Where Belichick, it's not really, you can't blame him, but Patricia's a smart guy. I don't know if you ever look at him. I mean, he's brilliant. I don't mean football-wise. I mean, he's brilliant. So he comes in, I don't think he's a real personable guy, or he wasn't. I think he learned from that. I watched his show all last year on YouTube with Belichick. They did that, him and Mike Lombardi, the three of them. He did very well on that. Patricia did, breaking stuff down. I think he let his shoulders down a little bit, kind of just opened up where he was trying to be too buttoned up. And anything you hear from Columbus, he is more joking with them. So I think he's brilliant. They've got the talent there. I think he'll do well, but that's a big adjustment going the other way, right, into college. But in some ways easier because you're more talented than the opponent probably 95% of the time. You won't be on that opening game. But that's a big adjustment too, right? Like you said, learn a whole new system. New players, but I like it, so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm interested in with Patricia is because he has the ability to switch up a lot of different schemes on defense, right? Whereas with Jim Knowles, they were running his scheme, which worked really well, obviously. Got him a national championship. They were always one of the top defenses in the country. Knowles, I got nothing bad to say about Knowles at all. But I think if Ohio State allows him to switch up the schemes and do multiple things, I think that could be really interesting, man, because they got no shortage of athletes. They got no shortage of guys who can do multiple things and do it well. So I think if they let Patricia cook a little bit, it could be interesting.
Yeah. Last year, Knowles, though, after that Oregon game, I think it was, they didn't like what he was doing. There was a big melee within the coaching staff. And they kind of took a little bit away from what he was doing, which is kind of where they started playing better. And I think that's why he wanted out too, right? So who knows what's true, right? That stuff always comes out after the fact, right? You never know it during. But, it kind of seemed like he wasn't the perfect fit there for a while. But we'll see. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Well, hey, you and I know what it looked like before Knowles came in, and it wasn't very good. So
no, not at times it wasn't.
So I can't hate on the guy at all.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, they played that first year under him was a little rough, but they played a different scheme, and he kind of settled them down.
Right.
So, yeah,
but I do like the fact that they're playing Texas the first game, especially with the way that the college playoff is set up. 12 teams now, like that. They lose that game, that's not going to hurt them at all, man. It's pretty much just like it's almost like a really high level scrimmage in a way. I mean, nobody's going to look at it that way. Like, you shouldn't look at it that way. You want to go win that game, but you're just getting, I think you're getting incredible exposure at the very start of your season. To me, that's awesome.
Oh, heck yeah. Measuring stick right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
You know everything, right? Right out
of the gate. Versus you play 3 or 4 cupcakes right out of the gate. You don't really know where you're at.
No. It's going to be fun. I may try to go to that game. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a price tag. Whew, it's expensive to go to those games, so we'll see. But Anything else you want to add, Kate? Thanks for joining us. We've been talking about this for a while, but thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me. This has been an absolute blast. I could talk all day. Hopefully I haven't talked too long, but well, one thing that we did kind of touch on leading up to this that we wanted to talk about that I don't think we quite touched on yet was just like the biggest kind of misconceptions on fitness influencers and stuff you see online. And for me, it goes beyond that, beyond just stuff you see online. Like all of these influencers, whether it's training, whether it's biohacking, whether it's nutrition, they all are putting out really, really good information. But two things: you have to know how to apply the information. Okay. Not every tool is going to be right for the job. If I try to wash my windows with a hammer, I'm going to be like, this hammer sucks. This hammers are no good. But no, it's just not the right tool for the job. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then two, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Everything you see online is packaged up in this beautiful, presentation of perfection. Right? Like, this is my perfect morning routine. This is the perfect diet, the perfect amount of protein to get, the perfect amount of carbs to get, the perfect way to sleep. This is the perfect exercise or the perfect program. And it's like, there is no perfect, first and foremost. And a lot of times that prevents people from doing anything or even getting started in the first place because they don't feel like they have all of their ducks in a row to get going. And the truth is, if you wait for all the circumstances to be perfect, you're never going to do it, okay? So find what's sustainable for you on the nutrition side of things, on the biohacking, sleep, that side of things, on the fitness and exercise side of things. Find what is sustainable for you, because at the end of the day, if you have the perfect program and the perfect routine, but you never do it, versus having maybe kind of a mediocre program and kind of like a mediocre routine, but you do it, you're going to get way more results by doing something versus not doing it. So that I really want your listeners to take that away from our conversation today. Like, doing something, even if it's not perfect, is always going to be doing better than nothing because it's not perfect.
Yeah, that's great. It's like that old saying, the best time to start something's now. So if you think, oh, I waited so long, I should have done it. Or to your point, there's a business, great is the enemy of really good, or great is the enemy of good, right? Which is good is the enemy of great. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So good is the enemy of great, but at the same time, it's like I kind of like the saying of, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Yeah, I agree with
you. Know what I mean? Because it's not going to be perfect. Your listeners, they're not professional athletes. Their job is not to train. Yeah. You know what I mean? So find things that are sustainable for you. Find habits that you could do on a daily basis, whether that's getting up and getting some water with sea salt, drinking that before your cup of coffee, trying to get some sunlight into your eyes and get outside before you hop onto your phone. Like, little things that you can just start to sprinkle in throughout your day. If it's not an hour session at the gym because you can't fit that in, get 30 minutes of movement or some light yoga before you go to bed. Like, these little things that stack up over time end up being huge. Yep. They end up being huge, man. And I just think in today's day and age, where all you see is everybody's highlight reel or the very best rep or the very best take out of everything, it can really be a little disheartening at times. So don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. Do something.
Yep. Atomic Habits. There's have you heard of that guy that wrote the book? He's from Cincinnati. Atomic Habits.
Is he really?
The area there. Yeah. I can't think of his name offhand. I got the book right in there. But it's just that 1% things you do different daily over time, what that adds up to be. Couldn't agree more. So thanks so much, Kade.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it, man.
Yep. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon.